all lovely viewers, and welcome to our Women Empowerment Show, My Women. Raising teens can be quite challenging for whole families and single parents alike. But what can we do as parents to protect our teens while saving ourselves from the thoughts of being a failure in their upbringing? Joining me live on My Women today is my very beautiful sister Annalyn, who is also a very valuable member of my women's team. But before then, please let's enjoy our theme song. She is a Woman by Rihanna from Ghana. Stay tuned.
Educated, talented, she knows her worth. She's cultural, a woman of substance. And when she walks, the world will stop and stare. She's a woman. And fearless, she knows her worth. She's grateful, a woman of substance. And when she walks, the world will stop and stare. She's a
Oh, welcome back, lovely people, and thank you all for joining us. I'm so happy to see you all beautiful people on My Women today. Today, as I said earlier, we are going to discuss how to raise teens or teenagers. Okay, with me is Sister Annalyn, beautiful Sister Annalyn. Good day, my darling sister.
Good day, my beautiful sister. Greetings to you and our beautiful, faithful viewers. Thank you so much for having me one more time.
Yeah, thank you. We are so happy to have you as usual and to see our beautiful viewers on Facebook, on YouTube, and other social media sites. Thank you all for joining us. So we will go straight to the questions. No, we will not go straight to the questions. Before beginning the question, please introduce yourself to the lovely people that are watching you for the first time on Fulltimebuzz TV.
My name name is Annalyn Williams, a teacher by profession and specialize in education, education management, and other branches of education. Yeah, so basically, in layman's terms, just teacher, and that will do. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Good to
Welcome,
join you and
Teacher
good to have
Annalyn.
you.
Teacher Annalyn, she happens to have teen children as well, so she's a very perfect person for today's discussion. So, sis,
Yes.
who is considered a teenager?
Right. I'm just going to give you the expert's opinion, the expert's definition of a teenager, how all those children that falls within the bracket of 13 to 19. And the word teenager is associated with adolescence. And what is adolescence? Adolescence is the name for the transition period where the child is now going over from being a child into adulthood, what we term is adulthood. So it's synonymous with adolescence, which means that changing period within the child's life, and the age bracket 13 and 19. And very important, you know, when we look at our schooling system, we see that we have the different phases: the elementary, the middle school, and the secondary. And that's basically you will find especially in the US, children, teens between 11 and 14, they go to middle school. If you can see 11 to 14, because at 14, that transition really start to kick in the child. Thank you.
Okay. That's an excellent explanation of who teenager or who a teen is. So please, what are the common issues that teens normally face?
Right, from what I see from studies that were done, was that teenagers face things like self-esteem and body issues, body image issues, stress, bullying, depression, cyber addiction, drinking and smoking, teen pregnancy, underage sexual relations, defiant behaviors, and peer pressure and competition. Yeah.
Let's talk about peer pressure in particular.
Yeah.
What do you think causes all that peer pressure?
What cause the causes of peer pressure? Let's look at
Yeah.
some of the causes that's been listed, right? We must understand what is peer pressure. What is the teenager, and then we can make sense of these challenges, right? So the teen is when the child reaches that stage. From what I've read, it's the child is forming his own identity. So that means that the child is trying to find him or herself. And then by that age, the child should have some foundation of who he or she should become. But then in that seeking process, it's very possible that the child go out and experiment to find, to make sense of his life. And even the close child that was close to his parents can become a problem, and or the child can become different to the parents because the child is now exploring. It's a time of exploring. You understand? So you are talking about the causes, so we need to understand what is teenage. It's not that a child intentionally becomes bad or intentionally, but is intentionally pulling away to become independent. You understand? And in that process, that is where we as parents need to guide our children. So the causes, some of the causes listed of peer pressure, right, is a weak personality. Because remember, age 13 age 13 is they still tender. They're not independent as yet. The fear of rejection. They want to be accepted within their groups. Social acceptance. You know, can you imagine you get to high school, you are alone, and especially as parents, sometimes we don't think. We move from country to country. We take our children with school to school. We move them. We don't think of the social implications that your child will actually be a loner. So all of those things we don't think about it. Avoidance of bullying. Sorry, coming back to the causes. Improvements in coolness. They want to be cool. They want to be liked. And of course, because it's a transition period, it's also a period where something happens in the brain, something happens in the body. It's all hormonal interaction also, and we are human. So that is another factor that pulls the child into directions. Then, unfortunately, this one is a sore point: bad parenting, cultural values, personal confusion, mental issues. Those are some of the causes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Annalyn. In fact, you are a perfect teacher. I'm learning so much from you today. So now let's talk about how peer pressure among the youth can affect our children's or our teens' self-esteem, their personal development, and their future. We can connect that.
Yes.
That
So as far
communication.
as some of the effects, there will be changes in the child's behavior, obviously. So there could be
Okay.
changes in performance at school,
Mm.
right? There can be changes in attitudes, changes in visual appearance, changes in school attendance. So if these are the effects, then we must be able to also then identify them as the red flags that can go up. Uh, the child can become bullied. Also changes in political ideologies, because at this tender age, a lot of children are sort of pulled into certain ideologies. Bullying, they can become bullies, or the other way around. Violence, they can become violent. Some become anorexic, they don't eat. Some become radicalized, and I'm so happy for this one because already in schools, teachers are in the UK schools and in the British curriculum, teachers are being trained to identify certain radicalization pointers, you know. So we're able to pinpoint or identify this one, something is happening, you know, in the political arena or whatever ideologies. Drug abuse, accidents, teenage pregnancies also could be an effect. Those are the effects in a nutshell. There are more, I'm sure, but those are the things that I sort of read up on.
Can affect their future. So as parents, we have to do our best to protect our teens, especially the girls and even the boys, because boys can fall into bad company. They can end up abusing substances, illicit substances, and the girls, as you said, they can go into premarital sex and then end up becoming pregnant. So you are
That's
very
it.
right, sis. You're very right. So what can we do as parents to save that teens, our teenage children from illicit drug use and drinking and teenage pregnancy, as you mentioned? What do you think we can
Right.
do as
As
parents?
yes, I hear you, my sis. The for us as parents, sometimes we are very ignorant, and I know I'm also one of those parents that say, as long as, because my mother used to say, as long as you're under my roof, you will do what I say, or there's the door. But unfortunately, we are living in a changed society, and children um, pick up different value system, and this is why, first of all, it is the parents. The everything starts at home. It is in the home, our primary teaching situation. You know what? Education, pedagogics is the study of education. Now, in pedagogics, we say is taking a child literally by the hand and leading this child into adulthood, and that is the basic aim of a teacher, is to take the child by the hand and lead her into adulthood. Now, so in that primary education situation, which is your home, it's your first place of learning. You've got to spell out the values. It starts at home. So let me start my, the saying that says, show me your friends and I know who you are. So there's a lot of things that we can do as parents to see what our children are involved in. Let me come back to your question. Number one, early identification. Look at changes in eating habits, changes in sleeping habits, changes in personal hygiene. You know who your child is. Early signs of depression, increased demands to perform, or competing with friends. Those are all the things that you can see. And when you see them, be vigilant as a parent, because they can further damage, or you can guide the child into getting healing, into direct the child into the right behaviors, early identification. Then, as parents, also we should understand the transition period. What happens? And the thing that I always see coming up is understand the child's feelings. So often we just ignore the child's feelings because you can't feel, not what you feel is what I feel as a mother, right? Yeah. So sometimes if we don't listen to children, um, I had three teenagers, and it's so obvious if you just know what to look out for. If your child is not a problem child and all of a sudden do things, let me not talk about the rebellious child. Let me just look at you as parent, understand the transition, and we like to criticize as parents, but we have to stay away from criticizing the child at that point. All right? We have to be sensitive towards the child in this during the stages. And often as a parent, I'm speaking from a personal perspective. Yeah. To me is if you show the signs of adolescence, is I will just say it's my way or the highway. But unfortunately, we have to pay attention to their anger, to their confusion, and all of those things that go along with the transition stage. So we must bear in mind that in that time, 13 to 19, is crucial that we as parents guide the child and be sensitive. Okay, because we're not sensitive enough. I know, because I wasn't sensitive enough. Transfer knowledge. The child is curious to become independent. The child will rather go and do. And that's another thing. Unfortunately, we see that a child, uh, you know, we always say, do what I say. But how do we learn? How do we learn? We do what you do. We are learned, we are taught that children, they emulate, they copy behavior. So they will copy what they see from the parents, unfortunately. Even if I say go left, but I as mom, I go right, my child has the tendency, will have the tendency to follow me. So we have to transfer the knowledge. Talking to the child, we don't talk about taboos in society. We we don't. Our children see these things on the media, internet, the movies, And instead of exposing our children to the right knowledge, we allow that our children be overtaken by media, and that is an error. And we should also talk about cyber safety. Fortunately, this is a topic in school. Our schools, I must say, when I refer back to the South African system, I must say that life orientation really prepare them for some of these issues. But still, peer pressure is still there because everybody wants to be accepted, right? So parents create a list of rules that is fair to your child and acceptable for the age of the child and the consequences, and that will help them to guide them. Respect the child's opinion. Respect the child's opinion. I was very shocked one day when I always, as a parent, it's my way or the highway. And one day, my daughter just decided to to lash out at me and give it back to me. It's like, Mommy, you can't force us to do ABCD because of ABCD. So that was the first time I actually had an encounter with a typical teenager when I said, left, my child said, no, I will do this. And I had to, because what she said made sense. But for me as parent, I wanted my way. And that's not always going to work. That is going to lead to clashes, because that day I remember I gave her a spanking. I gave her a spanking, and which is not always the answer. I know the Bible says spare the rod and spoil the child, but it's not always that you're going to resort to the rod to get the child in line. So most youth's ability to develop positive self-esteem is affected by family life and parental criticism. So we like to criticize. So when as parents, when we say something, let's try and state it positively. I had the tendency, you want to help your child. No parent is doing this with a bad intention. But we should just focus on how we put our wording forward. You understand? Instead of stating the negative, let us try and state the negative in a positive way. So that's what I want to say about talking to the child. Very, very important, the rules. And before the child learn anything on street, let's discuss it in the house as a mother or as a father and a mother. Let's give them these facts. I always tell my teenagers, you always say, Mommy, you always think the worst. This is how we talk. I'm just sharing my experience. Mommy, you always think the worst. And then I tell her, but I don't follow you wherever you're going. But you must know ABC. And the thing is, this is what I was taught in my house. My mother never used to side with the wrong. She always told us, I don't go with you. I don't know where you're walking. So if somebody says something, I cannot about you, and you were seen there or whatever, I cannot. You know what? My mother brought me up to be very fair, and in some ways, uh, I'm doing the same thing to my children, and I see it's not always really good, because she will tell me, Mommy, you always think the bad, but it's not that. I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm not going to be optimistic like I'm not with my children. I don't know. I've laid the foundation, but I'm very realistic. You understand? Not to say that I expect the worst, but I give them the tools to equip them in situations where they have to get out from. And sometimes it is there that the child don't know how. This is peer pressure, when the child doesn't know how to get out from that situation. You understand? So informed choices, that is the right word, to make informed choices about their situations. Respect their opinions and their decisions, right? So Sometimes, a typical example, my daughter had the ends of her hair. She colored it blonde, just the ends, the tips, right around. So the next thing she said, I want to color my hair green. So it's not for me. I was thinking, how can I discourage this child from making green hair? You understand? But now I was thinking, okay, so I read, choose
Hey.
your battles. As a parent, there are battles you can fight with your child. Is So this thing about the green hair is a trivial issue. You understand? If she doesn't like it, when after it's done, she will cut it. So I don't need to put up a fight because of green hair. But if serious issues come up and I have to fight it, it's then that I will fight the battle. So we must choose our battles. Trivial issues, we can let it slide. You understand? But that's a typical thing. It looks cool to have green hair. Okay, let me try it. So you might not just like it when you have it. So it's okay. Let it slide. You understand? There must be a relationship of trust and acceptance. I always tell my girls, I need you to trust me and I need you. And rapport. Rapport is most important. Communication. Communication. It's very difficult for them to seek for their parents to be the first person to talk about something that bothers them. I'm telling you, I've experienced it. That same child that was so close to you, you will be the last person to hear about the challenges and the issues. They trust their peers more. So there must be a good rapport. Rapport is a mutual communication and respect, trust, and acceptance between parent and child. Right? Rapport, communication, respect each other, and trust and
Mhm.
acceptance. And that's the one thing I've seen and I've experienced. They challenge you, your authority. And then it's so easy for you as a parent to lose your respect. And in some instances, the child can embarrass you in situations. And you as a parent, you'll have to think and weigh up. If you do this, I will permanently damage the child's image. And if I deal with this later when we are alone, then um, I might be able to save our relationship and I might be able to save her and redirect her behavior. So, behavior modification is really the expert's field. But as parents, I think those are the things that we can do. Communication and provide communication between each other and a safe space. The child must feel free. Like I constantly have to say, guys, you need to be open. I don't want surprises. Be open with me. Tell me first before I hear it from somebody else. And you know what? After how many years, my youngest the other day, she said, I just received a message. She said, Mommy, I want to tell you something before you. I don't want you to get surprises and hear it from someone. But I'm telling you, that's time after time reiterating the same thing. They will give you surprises and you will shout and you will redirect them, try and redirect the behavior and change the behavior. And then they will shock you. And it will happen again. And then one day, you get the surprise. Okay, at least she's listening. Something is happening. So those are just a few. And if it's really, really out of hand, I suggest you seek professional help. Seek professional
Yeah.
help for you as a parent and for the child.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sis. We will take a short commercial break, and then when we come back, we will read some questions and contributions from our lovely viewers. So please don't go anywhere.
Africa is happening. At Almula Exchange, it's raining prizes. Have you used Almula Exchange to send your money to Africa? Not yet? First time is the right time. Send money to Africa and get a Bluetooth speaker free on your first transaction to any country in Africa through Almula Exchange using Transfast service. There is something for everyone. Existing customers sending money to Africa get a chance to win an Apple iPad every week. It doesn't end there. Everyone is entered into a grand drawing and can win an Apple MacBook Pro laptop. Hurry up and remit today through Almula Exchange. WhatsApp or call 1-840-123 for further information.
Welcome back, lovely people, to MyWomen. Today we are discussing a very important topic related to raising kids the right way. So now we'll take some comments and contributions from our lovely viewers. Thank you all for joining us. Sister Lynn, Sister Christina, Sister Inse. So happy you've joined us today. Evans, my brother Evans Actor, my brother Samson Ajay, hero. Abigail and I'm welcome. Thank you all. Alasan, Issa, and Jima Kofi Jonathan. Thank you all, lovely people. I'm so happy you are joining us. And please, if you have any questions, comments, or contribution, you can leave it in the comment section and we'll get back to you. Abigail, Nana Mwako, she's saying, how are you doing? Yellow, Sister Grace. How are you doing today? My network is very bad. No problem. We are very happy you could join us. She's saying, she's saying, spot on, thinking about the impact of decisions and actions and changes. Parents must pay close attention to this and how it affects the child. Thank you very much, Sister Inse. Abigail and Amwako is saying, a very important topic today. You see, in order to put forth a beautifully structured future for our children, they need to be raised properly. You are absolutely right, Abigail. And Samson Ajay, hero, he said peer pressure has a great effect on children and should be well managed and controlled by both parents and teachers. Yeah, this is where the Annalyn comes in. Teachers and parents both have important role to play. So parents should not leave all the role for teachers. It's a very huge responsibility. And Abigail Namwako again, he said, many parents today do not know how to raise children well. I remember my childhood days. A mate died of juju practice due to lack of parental control and parental care. Sister Annalyn, you know, this is a very important contribution Abigail has made. You know, so many teens end up joining occult groups and going into, you know, occultism, devil worship during their teens, right? So please, we will touch on that. Let me read more comments and then we will touch on this important comment that Abigail has just made. And Sister Inse, she said, parents are the first and most important teachers in the child's life. You are absolutely right. Mrs. Inse, you are right. Because as a parent, if you don't bring up the child the way you should go, what can the teacher do? Charity begins at home, as you said. And Abigail, you said, you look very nice. Thank you, Abby. God bless you. Mrs. Insa Samuel Kasali, again, she said, understand the child's feelings is very deep. Yeah, as parents, we tend to ignore how they feel. We don't respect how the children feel most of the time. But it's very important that we understand how they feel. We have to ask them how they feel about issues. Thank you very much for joining us. Dear George Jr., please, if you have any contribution, don't forget to drop it. We are discussing how to raise teens, our teenage children, how to raise them the right way. I think my producer will display more contributions, and then we can go ahead with it. Stan said, yeah, he said, I understand. Child's feelings very deep. I already read that one. Okay, so we'll continue our discussion. We'll continue our discussion now. Stanley.
Yeah. You want me to give our input on the question where she says lack of parental control? Was that
Yes.
lack of parental control? Right.
Yes.
Sometimes
Many teens normally join gangs or bad company and even cults or cult groups when they are teenagers. You know, they fall into bad company. So if you have any input regarding that one, you can. That's a contribution. You can with it.
That is when when the parent must be aware of changes in the child. In most times, I don't think that there's a parent that consciously try to misguide a child or consciously not properly train up a child. Across all cultures, religions, it's one thing that we can see. Whether you're a Christian or a non-Christian, whether it doesn't matter what religion you are from, you want your child to become a responsible adult. So it can be perhaps ignorance on the part of the parent and not knowing. So if we know it's an unempowered parent that can say, because I'm a parent, I don't think we can say a parent is misguiding or lack of control. Control in what way? If that parent knew that there are certain things to look out for, changes in your children's sleeping habits, their movements, setting rules that's appropriate to the age, and then we could have prevented some of these things. If finding out, sometimes we know the saying where there's smoke, there's a fire. Sometimes we hear things about our children, but we tend to ignore it because we think we are raising saints, right? Instead of acting upon it. Because as parents, it's almost like an egg, that you must prevent from falling and holding it safe up until it buds and reaches and becomes this bird that you want it to become. So I'm using that analogy because it makes sense to me that the child is in a vulnerable stage, and if we're going to understand the vulnerability and set the necessary
Okay. Thank you very much, sis. I think we are having some network issue. Is the sound okay from your side? Okay, welcome back, lovely viewers. We'll take a very short commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll take more questions and contributions. So please, you can feel free and leave your comment in the comment section or question in the comment section.
Africa is happening. At Almula Exchange, it's raining prizes. Have you used Almula Exchange to send your money to Africa? Not yet? First time is the right time. Send money to Africa and get a Bluetooth speaker free on your first transaction to any country in Africa through Almula Exchange using Transfast service. There is something for everyone. Existing customers sending money to Africa get a chance to win an Apple iPad every week. It doesn't end there. Everyone is entered into a grand drawing and can win an Apple MacBook Pro laptop. Hurry up and remit today through Almula Exchange. WhatsApp or call 1-840-123 for further information.
Welcome back, viewers. And to my women, as we are discussing bringing up teens the right way. So, Abigail, I think you left a very important contribution. You said that many teens end up joining gangs and practicing occultism because of parental neglect and lack of parental care. It's true. It's very true. Because I remember when I was in secondary school, I came across so many of such people. Their parents don't even know their whereabouts, whether they go back home after school or not. They don't care. So it's very important to know where your children are, their friends, and the kind of groups that they are joining, because so many of them join occultic groups, which is very, very, very sad. Very sad. So you take more contributions. Sister Inse Samuel Sally, she said, understand the child feeling, have me thinking. Children have feelings, and most of the time we trash their feelings and enforce hours on them. And while doing this, we would mold or train them to be hard and ignore the feelings of others in return. This is really, yeah, Sister Insa, you are very right. Children have feelings, they have choices to make. They have a lot to contribute. Sometimes we see them as small or underage, and we think that we know better than them. And because of that, we ignore their counsel. We don't even allow them to talk. In most African families and settings, it's like you don't even have the right to speak as a child. The parents is like the headmaster student kind of relationship, or the military general and his subordinates kind of relationship. You just have to do yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. You don't have the right to. It's like when you try to argue, or you try to make your voice heard, or to make your feelings known. It seems like you are being rebellious, or you are challenging them, or you are challenging your own parents, which is quite unfortunate. So as parents, we should allow our children to speak, to express themselves. Their voices should be heard. Their voices should be heard, because they are children. It's our responsibility to maintain their joy, their happiness, and everything. And Stephanie, oh, you're back. Starlin, welcome back.
Sorry about Thank you. Sorry about
yeah, so glad. Yeah, so glad to. You can hear me well, right?
Yeah, very well. Thank
you. Okay. So, Yamicha Person is saying that most teens trust their peers more than their parents. But do you think that should be the case? Should teens trust their peers or their friends more than they should trust their parents?
It's just in this phase. You understand? It's not something that they would naturally and normally. But in this period of teenage, of the transition into adulthood, they they trust their peers more, unfortunately. Because can you hear me? As if we as parents brush off the child, remember there are certain issues we as parents, we don't want to touch, we don't want to talk about it. What do? We brush it off. And you're a child. What do you want to know about that? Isn't it? That's because we're not forward thinking in terms of the child is going through something, the child is finding himself. We just think, what do you bothering with this issue now? Leave that nonsense, or something to that effect. I mean, it's not intentional. We don't even, I think it's so far from our mind that we are putting our children off. But it's one of the characteristics of being a teenager. You don't go to your parents first. It's not that the child don't love you. It's not that the child don't trust you. It's just something that happens during teenage years. Not that they don't trust you.
Mm.
You understand?
Thank you very much. You understand? So
That's my opinion, sis. Thank you.
That's my opinion, sis. Thank
you. Yeah. So Stephanie is asking. She said that please, I have many siblings. How do I counsel and handle them now that they are all teenagers?
Is she
she's
not
like
a teenager?
she's like a mother to her siblings now, and all of them are growing up. They are boys. So she's asking that how does she handle them? What is the right way?
How does she handle them in terms of are they problematic?
Yes. It's like they are growing up, and you know, she's a big sister, and now that the boys are growing up, they are becoming taller. Like they are growing taller and bigger than her. So
yes,
it's like they are challenging her authority.
very important.
There's some feedback.
Can you turn it off, please?
There's feedback.
Thank you. Yes, that's better. Thank you. So she can follow those hints or those pointers that we said. Communication is very important. Set the rules within the age limit, fair rules, and make sure that they know the consequences. If they don't stick to the rule, there's a consequence. We teach the children there is a consequence for every action. And if you take an action, then you must be able to bear the consequences. Right? So, and very important, lead by example. Lead by example is the greatest. Because if you tell them, this is how you should behave, but you behave contrary to that, they're going to have a lot to question you about. And they won't even trust what you're saying. And also, Stephanie, lay the right foundations. In the house, lay down the value system. Or you want to counsel them. How can you counsel someone that is addicted to smoking? Now, that's a medical issue. If the person, we try to, for someone to, at all costs, for someone to change their behavior. If you feel smoking is right, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm thinking from this person's perspective that's smoking. Find out why are they smoking? What does it do for them? What is the purpose of smoking if you are damaging yourself? And unfortunately, if the person is already an addict, you are not qualified, my dear, to counsel that person. When you can counsel the person to, this is what, if I'm not trained in that area and I'm counseling, I merely counsel someone to change their behavior, to modify the behavior. If I cannot, first, abstinence, right? Abstinence. We preach abstinence from bad behavior. Abstain from it. If the person cannot abstain, then we will say modify the behavior. But if it's an addict, if it's an addiction, that person needs professional help. So if you are not a professional in that area, I won't even say try to attempt to counsel someone. If that person is an addict, it's a medical problem. It's already a person that's smoking, from what I understand. There is a part in the brain. You can even put a pen in your mouth the whole day. And if you're a smoker, the brain will interpret it, you are smoking because there's something in your lips. You understand what I'm trying to say? And there are medical ways of dealing with this. But I don't step myself, personally, I don't step on a professional's ground because I'm not trained and specialized in that area. There are people that have been trained to deal with people that's involved with substance abuse. Is it advisable to be harsh on kids? You have to weigh. You have to weigh the situation. Every situation has got its merits, right? Sometimes you need to be harsh. And sometimes being harsh please put off the feedback. Being harsh leads to permanent damages. So you've got to find a balance in life. It's about balance, and as a parent, you have to constantly weigh up and ask yourself the necessary questions, right? If I'm harsh, some people are just harsh in all aspects, and does it really help the child? Does it really help the child? So she was one of the questions I know Gracie was going to ask is, to what extent do we allow children to explore? And
yeah,
once again,
we have a lot of questions. Yes, sis. We have a lot of questions from our viewers, and because of time, yeah, that's why I wanted us to finish the questions and contributions that our viewers have dropped in the comment section, so that we can continue with our discussion. Because we have a lot. I think we have about 5 more questions, but time is fast spent. I don't know if we have to continue our discussion next week, but let's try to see if we can finish it in the next 10 minutes. Okay, so let's take the next question. Samson Ajay, he's asking, parents and teachers, who should take the greater percentage when it comes to a child's good character molding, formation, and stability?
Let's see how much of the time the child spends at school. And personally, as a teacher, there are roles that I'm not supposed to form, that I'm not supposed to tell the child about, and I expect that to come from home. So the child enters I beg your pardon, the child enters the school with his or her set of value systems in the good character formation. So it's a 50-50 thing. When you are at school, we teach you, we shape you, we try and shape you into this responsible adult that you need to be. But it's a partnership between parents and teachers. Parental involvement, we have to speak the same language, because our aim of education is adulthood, responsible adulthood. And that is, so it's a 50-50 deal. If the child is at home, whose responsibility is it to teach the child? The parents. You forming that character. When the child is in school, the teacher takes on the role of forming and shaping that character of the child further. But 60%, my brother, 70% home, 30% school. I think at school we only have time to touch on 30%. When you look at the curriculum that looks at this aspect, you must also remember curriculum isn't always it's value-based, but you as a parent in your house, you have specific values that you cling to, isn't it? So that specific values, am I as an outsider, will I be able to transfer that knowledge to your child? I'm going to teach the child broader values that is acceptable in society, general broader values that is acceptable in society, so that we can coexist and respect each other and tolerate each other, right? But basically it's the parents' role.
Thank you very much. My sister Ajua Hiniwa Nyamiche, she said, I think when we get more close to our children, or when we get closer to our children, that's when they open up to us. You are absolutely right, my sister. Mami Ajua Hiniwa Nyamiche, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm so happy you've
Definitely,
joined.
but we're
talking about
the teenager
specifically.
And one of the characters.
Yeah, she dropped. Yeah, it was a comment she dropped. It was a contribution.
Yeah.
It was not a question. Yeah.
Okay.
She was just contributing. I think with your previous analysis you made. And
Okay.
said, she's asking actually, that is it advisable to be harsh on your teens when because some fathers and mothers are always harsh on their children. So what type of connection do they establish in this way?
That's why I'm saying I've touched on that. And I said there's got to be a balance. Sometimes you need to be harsh to reinforce.
Yeah, my fault. I think you've already addressed it. Thank you.
Yes.
And Abigail and she's saying, okay, so the thing is I think she has already addressed this one too. She says, I really like this channel. In fact, this program is very, very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Abigail and Amwako. So let's go to our questions. Stanley. So what do you think? Is it okay to allow our children to explore the world and learn on their own? And or should we protect them from the world and teach them what they need to know rather? You think it's better to allow them to explore, or we should teach them, guide them as parents?
Turn off the feedback, please. Yeah. So my personal professional opinion, I believe in freedom within boundaries. It might sound contradictory, but you give the child that space within boundaries. You still set the boundaries, you still set the rules, but you give them the rope to explore. Based on the age appropriateness of the child. You understand? At some point, I'm just going to make a simple example. It sounds trivial. My children like skating. So sometimes I'm tired and I've got 3 kids. So I have to, two like skating. 2 of them like skating. So I must weigh up constantly. Do I allow them to go on their own by themselves? So a few years back, I had to get up and take them to the ice rink and stay there for 2 hours. Or then I started, okay, I'm taking them. When they finish, they call me. I'll go get them. So now, at this point in time, I'm ready to say, okay, my baby, it's time for her to go alone. I leave them, I give them the car, they can go alone and come back on their own, still giving them the time. By this time, you must be back. So that is my boundary for them. So act liberally within my boundaries. I still set the boundaries. I'm still in control as the parents. That's just a simple scenario. But age is very important. You don't allow a 10-year-old to come in your house at 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes we should just apply wisdom. And yes, there are some things you let go little by little because
Okay. I think our lovely sister Annalyn has gone offline. Let me take the opportunity to read more comments.
The end of the day.
Oh, you are back.
When you're not
Thank God. Please go ahead. Hello, sis. I think your network. Yeah. Okay. Let me read more comments and contributions. Yeah. Mrs. Inside Kasali, she said, yes, boundaries must be established based on age. You are absolutely right, sis. You're absolutely right. Based on age, boundaries must be established, yeah. Even you cannot allow, Sister Annalyn was saying, you cannot allow your teen children to bring their friends to your home after 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. What kind of upbringing is that? It's not possible. So And Stephanie is saying, okay, very interesting program. Thank you, Steph. And Abigail Amwako is saying, Nana Amwako said, should we buy phones for our children and give them the platform on social media? Like, should we buy phones for our children and allow them to join platforms on social media or something at an early age? Okay, I think we are discussing about teens, but it's important. This is a very important question as well. Says, Abigail Nanamuaku is asking if it's appropriate to buy our children mobile phones. Though I think she's not talking about teens, but she's talking about children. Is it appropriate?
Sister, what is
Hello? Sis?
I can see a question.
Oh, okay. Abigail Nanamuaku is asking.
Sister Abigail, I just want to know, first of all, how old is your child?
So as parents, you're going to make, we keep on reiterating that the child age appropriately, right? And what is the purpose of that social platform? If it's communication between you and your child, very important, a parent must monitor a child on social.
Many girls being bullied on social media and they end up taking their life, committing suicide. So I think even as teenagers, is it right?
I've tried to answer her.
Yeah. Is it right to regulate?
My first question would be, how old is the child?
And what is the purpose?
And what is the purpose of that phone?
Is the phone just for
social media? Is social media good for your child?
Why do you want to expose your child to social media if you know that there's so many dangers? And if your child is especially not aware of net safety, why would you want to give the child access to social media? If the child is independent or on the verge of adulthood, it's quite it's okay. But you as a parent, are you really going to condone your child to be on Facebook exposing her to others? I would say, in my personal opinion, no, it's not wise of you as parents for a child to allow your child to be active on Facebook and she's still a minor. By law, if something happens to the child, you are ultimately responsible for your child because the child is not an adult yet. When the child is an adult, let the child make the decision. But as a minor, certainly not buy your child a phone by all means, but monitor the activity on the net. Monitor the internet activity, monitor no Facebook, no social media. I know the girls like TikTok. TikTok is acceptable because they're just entertaining themselves and not really others, but still has to be monitored by the parents. Social platforms, just buying a phone for social platforms is an error. Parents should not err in that way. Still, you need to set the boundaries. By the phone, set the boundaries. That's what we're saying. Age appropriate and fair rules for the child.
Thank you very much. Set boundaries and monitor your children, even your teen children, because so many teens have committed suicide. They've taken their own life because of cyber bullying. There are so many dangerous people out there that are there to prey on your children. So be very careful as parents. So sis, what can be done about what we will call rebellious teens, who especially such teens disregard their parents, their instructions, and they still want to live under their parents' roof. Like, so what do you think can be done? Yeah.
We know that a rebellious teen, the child that was once sweet, can turn into somebody almost like someone that you don't know. The mood swings, the risk behaviors, and various manifestations of rebellion. And I know for a parent, it's just difficult and exhausting. But when you deal with a rebellious child, once again, stay calm and in control. First of all, as a parent, stay calm. You don't need to show the child that you're losing control of the situation, right? Try not to yell, because I know our first instincts as a mother or father, we're going to start yelling, right? I know it sounds very idealistic when I say count to 10, take a deep breath, but those are the things that the professionals say we should do. Count to 10, take a deep breath, and revisit the situation with a clearer mind. Many a times we become emotional, and this is what I've learned, that emotional decisions can be wrong decisions. Emotional decisions can be detrimental, and we regret sometimes afterwards. So let us do practical things, decide on fair and age appropriate rules, sit the child down. I'm just going to touch on it. Decide on appropriate consequences. Once again, negotiate. Sometimes we just need to negotiate with a child. Do you think? Because they can think, they can reason. And if you tell them that these are the consequences and they're appropriate, they would know if you're not fair or if it's not appropriate. So negotiate and let them like what we do with kids. Let them lay down the rules. And if you break the rules, it's your own rules. Rather than me coming and saying, these are the rules, 1 to 10, you will abide by it, and that's it. So work with the rules and the consequences together. Negotiate it with the child. Focus on the good behavior. Reinforcement works for human beings. Like it was shown with Pavlov's dogs. Every time he conditioned the dogs, and every time he had the food, when they heard the bell, they would salivate. Simply means that you can condition someone to good behavior. So try that strategy. Positive reinforcement. Every time, if this rebellious child does something right, do something, praise the child, make a big thing out of it. And that's basically what teenagers want. Praise, to be accepted, to be recognized, instead of shouting, let's focus on the positive behavior and reinforcement, which means appraisals. Seek counseling, very important.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Seek counseling for the rebellious teenager, and mental health in teenagers are also very important. As much as mental health is important for the adult, it's also important for the child. In today's day, it's a very big issue. Mental Health Awareness Week at our job places, at our workplaces, seeking counseling for yourself as a parent as well. Because sometimes we blame ourselves as parent, and also easy to make excuses for the child. So sometimes you just need the reflection of the situation. So what counselors basically sometimes do is to just reflect your situation, and then you make decisions and see how to put the things together. So that for me would be, in a nutshell, those things that we can.
Thank you very much.
That's how we can.
Yeah, thank you very much. Today, time is fast spent. I think we spent extra 10 minutes already, but I think we can still manage the last part of the questions of our conversation in 5 minutes. So please, just round up. How best do you think we can raise or bring up our children so that they will not depart from the right path when they grow up? As the Bible says,
Right.
that bring up the child the way he should go, that when he's old, he will not depart from it. So
that's it.
just sum up.
Exactly.
You have 2 minutes.
I was gonna quote just Proverbs 3:16. Proverbs what? Proverbs, somewhere in Proverbs, where you say, train up a child in the ways of the Lord. So what we're doing is we're planting a seed. And I now, because and teach them principles. The principles, if your child, if you say you're a Christian, teach your child godly principles, because I'm sure whether it's not just a religion thing, it's across all religions, right? There are some values and systems in place. And if we reinforce the values, if we plant the seed, I tell my children now often that everything we do in life is seed. And if you plant a seed, whatever seed you're putting in the ground, it's going to reap a harvest. If you plant bad seed, you're going to reap a bad harvest. If you plant good seed, then you're going to reap a good harvest. So everything is seed. I'm trying to instill the principle, your morals, your values of the house. Communicate it, let it be visible, reiterate it, and constantly communicate it to your children. That's what I would say. Plant that seed, and the seed is the correct behavior. Instill your morals and values and belief systems at home. Nobody else can do that for you. In a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there's one
Thank you
person,
so
one
much.
person that wanted to know
About his
about
brother that are
his
into
brother that are
drugs.
into drugs.
Now, my brother, the only thing is seek professional help. Seek professional help, or seek help from a church institution. If you're a Christian, go to your religious leaders and find a way forward that will help your brother. When you're not trained as a brother or a sister, we will try and help, but to what extent can we really help someone? Seek the professionals' advice. In our communities, there are non-profit organizations, Circle of Life, and all these people. He said, into drugs too much, all because of our mama. Can we really blame someone for our behavior if we teach someone consistently that your behavior has got consequences, your actions has got consequences, and when you take a certain action, can we blame it on someone? It's debatable. And as I said, she was encouraging him rather than to take him out. She killed him with money, you know. Now she's there. Now, my brother, it's another thing. If you realize that your child is, especially the children at privileged schools, we know that rich children sometimes they don't have anything to do with their money but to buy drugs. Then you curb the money, you curb the spending. You ask yourself some questions as a parent. Is the child's behavior changing? What is changing? Why is the child behaving in a certain way? Let me see your parents. Let me see your company. Let me see your friends. Things like that. Sometimes, yes, I do agree, parents can make a mistake of giving a child money and think you are sort of keeping the child happy and quiet and money will take over. But that's not education, and that's not uprearing and bringing up. I do get you, but please do seek professional help for your brother. Thank you.
It's always so good to have you on MyWomen. You're a full package. God bless you so much.
Amen.
I know we will continue this conversation another time. You have a lot to share. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you. Have a nice lovely afternoon. So yeah, before we round up, let me just read some more contributions from our lovely viewers, and then we round up for today. Brayley, he said, kind of late today. Good topic. Thank you that you are still joining us, Brayley. He said, my cousin lost his left leg last month. No, it's not been easy. He's into drugs, and all because of our mama. So sorry for that, Brayley. Said she was afraid to train him, pampering him here and there. Even in drugs, she was encouraging him rather than talking him out. Man, she killed him with money, you know. Now he's not there. doesn't know what to do. So sorry, Liz. So sorry about that. So sorry to hear that. That's why, as parents, we should not overpamper our children. Stephanie, she said, some parents do not really focus on their children's talent, but on their weakness. For instance, if a child is very good in football, most parents do not show concern. They prefer the child becoming a doctor. What advice should be given to such parents? Please, Stephanie, today our time is fast spent. I know that you are bashing me on this because I didn't want you to play football, right? I am so sorry. I wanted you to be a medical doctor and I didn't allow you to play football. Forgive me. He said, God bless you. Brother Stephen Joe, thank you so much for joining us. Sister Inse, Mrs. Sex Samuel Kasali, my lovely sister and an honorable member of my women team. Thank you also for joining us. My sister Mami Adwa Hinewe Nyamiche, we are so glad you could join. George Jr., Jima, Kofi Jonathan, Evans, Alasan, and Abigail, Nana Mwako, and all of you lovely people. Thank you. I am so grateful. Mami Kwansima, thank you for joining us as well. So, Sister Annalyn, please, I think we still have 2 minutes. So, if you have any greetings, special greetings to friends and loved ones, you can go ahead.
I just want to thank our faithful viewers week after week for being with us. And thank you so much. And thank you for the interaction. Greetings to you all. God bless you. And let's spread the love. Thank you.
And let's spread the love. And please, let's bring up our children in the way of the Lord so that they will not depart from the truth in the right way when they grow up. Thank you so much. And this program was proudly sponsored by Almula Exchange. If you want to send money to any part of the world, Africa, please use Almula Exchange. You can use their mobile app and they have excellent rates. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Africa is happening. At Almula Exchange, it's raining prizes. Have you used Almula Exchange to send your money to Africa? Not yet? First time is the right time. Send money to Africa and get a Bluetooth speaker free on your first transaction to any country in Africa through Almula Exchange using Transfast service. There is something for everyone. Existing customers sending money to Africa get a chance to win an Apple iPad every week. It doesn't end there. Everyone is entered into a grand drawing and can win an Apple MacBook Pro laptop. Hurry up and remit today through Almula Exchange. WhatsApp or call 1-840-123 for further information.